people of the internet, it's Amanda, and today's video is a little bit more different than my usual content. I'm not gonna do an unboxing or review anything today, but instead answer some questions that I got from you guys from my different social media platforms. Now, it's been a while since I've actually done a Q&A here on my channel. I used to do this a lot back when I was still a nicheless channel, and I think it's because I didn't have any dramas to review or any direction really. I just mostly talked about anecdotes about my life and stuff like that back then. And so the questions that also came in were a little bit more random and stuff. And like if I run out of things that I want to share, I just ask the people who watch my videos what do they want to ask me. And I used to do that, I think, very constantly. But ever since my content evolved, you know, I'm much more focused on like really churning out content that is more centralized towards something, and that kind of shifted, and I just didn't really have time to like do Q&As anymore. But yeah, like lately I've just been churning out a lot of like different types of content as well that are still within the niche that I'm currently in right now. And that's why I decided, you know what, would people even be curious about anything if I do this? And yeah, I'm pretty excited. There are not a lot of questions, but I think I can definitely expand on the topics that people ask me about, so I'm really thankful. I forgot to ask permission if it's okay for me to include their usernames, so I'm just gonna block it out just in case anyone wants to remain anonymous. But yeah, I'll be flashing the questions as well on screen as I answer them. So somebody asked me, what's my criteria in choosing which dramas to make a review of? It's quite interesting because I'd like to say that I don't really have a process, but because I think just generally I just choose a project based on something that I feel like is personally interesting. Like for example, if there's a trailer of a movie, then in my mind I already have it noted, like I want to make a review of this once this goes out. Sometimes I just watch something by accident and then I feel like I really want to talk about it, and right at that particular moment after watching it, I film a video to just talk about it, just so the ideas are very fresh. A lot of those dramas and movies, actually, that's what happens, and that's why there are a lot of like random things that just pop up here on my channel. And yeah, it's a very I think personal process that I made it sure that when I started doing this, I wouldn't pick up on titles just because I think that they're gonna trend, or just because I think they're over or hyped or anything like that. I want to pick projects that I talk about because I have something to say about them, and not because I just watched it because a lot of people are doing so. So yeah, so sometimes if you scroll through my channel, you would notice that there are some reviews that have less than 100 views. There are some reviews that have more than like hundreds or thousands of views. And as much as, you know, engagement is nice, and I'm really happy that a lot of like some of my content connects to other people, I just don't use that much like as a metric to choose which projects, or for example which actors I should focus on. And I usually just focus on things that I personally feel happy to talk about, or if ever I have complaints about that certain project, you know, I make sure that it's something that I would be passionate enough about to talk to just analyze and stuff like that, so that there's still value in making that particular video. I remember, just to share, I remember there's this drama from last year. I just wouldn't say what, but everybody, I mean a lot of people are very much into it, and I actually got a couple of requests to do a video on that particular drama. But I personally, like, it's not within it's not something that I usually watch, number one. And number two, I have very particular opinions about the genre of the drama, that I feel like, you know, it's unnecessary to talk about it, because I know that other people enjoy the narrative and stuff like that. And like opening up, like talking about, you know, my opinions of it, especially if I think I'm not the target audience of that kind of like show, is just kind of like, it was just gonna sound uninformed and unnecessary, and might cause unnecessary drama, and I just don't have energy for that. And even if a lot of people are requesting it, and that I know that if ever I start talking about it, like it would generate views and stuff like that, I just didn't pick it up, because yeah, like for me, I would never force to watch something just because I know that it's a hype title. Like if you see me making multiple videos about something here on my channel, it's because I absolutely have very strong feelings about the drama that I want to share. And yeah, and that's the reason why I've made several videos about Hana no Chihare and Hana Yoridango. I've made an entire like episode per episode review of Miman Kisatsu, even if, I don't know, like it's not exactly top performers. So yeah, I guess the simple way to answer that question is it just really depends on the things that I feel very passionate talking about. And yeah, like it's kind of surprising to me if a video about a movie that I like does really well, because I've never had an intention of, you know, just picking it up because people like it, but because I just have something to say about it. So yeah. Next question is, so here the one of the questions, how did I get into Johnny's and kinpuri? I've made an entire video about my J-pop, J-drama history before, which I'll be putting a link to down in the description below. But long story short, unofficially, I got into Johnny's as young as 9 years old because I love Inuyasha, and then V6 sang the theme song for Inuyasha, which is Change Your World, but I still wasn't aware of like the whole J-pop Johnny's kind of thing. I just love Inuyasha, therefore there. But then like years later, my aunt got me into like J-dramas, and she liked dramas that have Johnny's personality starring in them. And then that's when we went into this whole like thing. She was into cartoon, so I got into cartoon. And yeah, and then when I entered college, I sort of like just didn't have time for it. And like I think like people within the same age as me, you would know that the internet is not as accessible as it is now. Before, they're like dial like you have to like deal with like dial up and other things, and like mobile data is kind of like expensive-ish at the time. There are not a lot of like data promos and stuff. So like if you lose touch with content back then, you just wouldn't bother. At least that's what happened to me. And my aunt also kind of like lay low when it comes to J-dramas and Johnny's. She got into Amuse as well, but you know, so all these things like just not having the time to source things out for myself, like I just stopped. And then 2018 happened, and in my video, like the video that I did before, I said it was May 2018, but actually it was April 2018. I've talked about this story a million times before, but I was just randomly scrolling through Facebook. I heard of the news that a Hana Yoridango sequel was gonna happen, but it was all rumors. Like I remember the fan cast back then were like Suzu Hirose, Yamake, and all that, and that was like years prior to me, and I completely forgot about it. So when 2018 happened and I was just like scrolling through Facebook, I saw someone uploaded like the first full episode of Hana no Chihare the day after it aired in Japan, which is April 17. So I saw it April 18. I was like really into, I love Hana Yoridango, and so I ended up like watching it. Saw Sugisaki Hana, saw Nakagao Taishi, seen them in other dramas before, so I was like, okay, cool, nice. And then Shaw appeared on screen, and I have screenshot evidence in my cloud showing me like the actual moment that I took a screenshot, and that was the first time that his face was revealed in the scene. And it wasn't because I thought that, oh, he's handsome or whatever. I took a screenshot because I think I was really curious, like why I haven't seen him before. Because I didn't really have any clue. I didn't have any like news about Johnny's anymore at that point, apart from the other Johnny's talents that I've known before, like with Doma, with Katun and stuff. So I just didn't have like any clue. The last Johnny's drama that I watched before completely like forgetting everything, like completely leaving everything, is 49, which is starring Sato Shori from Sexy Zone, and also there's Jinguji, who ended up in Kinpuri. So yeah, but it was like such a blur. So I was like really curious, like why haven't I seen this guy before? And then I didn't know that he was Johnny's. I just watched the episode. I liked his acting. I heard Cinderella Girl the first time when it played in that particular episode. I was like, this is a catchy song. I think I like it. And then I only found out that Johnny's is somehow involved in this particular project when I saw the credits at the end of episode 1. But by then, I was already in love with Haruto's character. And so, yeah, like I think that's when it started. I looked up Sho, I think a couple of episodes in, and saw that he didn't have a lot of like acting projects yet in his portfolio prior to Hana no Chihara, which really surprised me because personally, I think that he, like, even biased aside, even before I became like a huge fan of them and of him, I was surprised because I liked his acting a lot, and I'm very particular in terms of acting. I hate it when an actor's performance takes me away from the experience of the drama simply because there's just something out of place in the way that they're portraying a role. And I was really surprised because Hana is such a good actress. She's one of my favorite actresses ever. I just love the nuances that she puts into her acting, the way her eyes move whenever she's acting. Taishi as well. Taishi has this look that transforms depending on the role that he's playing. And so for me to not be able to distinguish Sho as a new talent, or I mean, he's done acting projects before because there's also Shark and stuff like that, but this is his first official project with like working with seasoned actors and actresses, and for me to not be able to separate that watching him plainly was really surprising to me. I think that's also one of the reasons why. And then during Kinpuri's debut week, we happened to like schedule our Japan trip. We've been to Japan multiple times before that, so it was plain coincidence that that particular year where we scheduled our trip was actually Kinpuri's debut week. So everything just sort of like have fallen into place at that point because I keep seeing them everywhere, like their an ad, which was released during the day of their debut as well. On TV, I keep hearing Cinderella Girl everywhere, like as soon as I landed. And I was like, this is so fun, like experiencing this, and I was really into the drama already at that point. There was this ongoing Hana no Chihara clear file promo thing that was happening because Family Mart was a sponsor of the drama, and I hunted down the Eitoku clear file in several like because it's the first one that always runs out in all of the branches, and when we visited Yokohama, that's the only time that I got I got one. I was really giddy about it. Yeah, but that's basically it. Like when I saw them, all of them, it wasn't just Sho anymore, but I was like, this group is very, very interesting. And I was saying to myself that I'm just a casual fan, I wouldn't be as invested in them, blah blah. But I bought their An and I think one version of the single when I saw it in the store. Saying that I was still a casual fan then. But yeah, that's basically that. My first ichiban, or my first oshi, is Ikuta Toma. I've talked about this before as well. Matsujun, I like him because, like, I think everyone who started their drama journey with, like, the classics, like Gokusen, Hanayori Dango, everyone had that Matsujun face. And I kind of had that when I saw him in Gokusen, but it was really Toma for me. Like, Toma was, and I think the thing with that is it was a lot easier it made it a lot easier to sever myself from it when I entered college, because I've just been realizing now that because Toma isn't a part of an idol group, when it comes to acting, like, there are some acting projects, and this applies to everyone and everything, at least for me. When it comes to acting projects, not every drama or movie will fit your style and preference. But when it comes to music is something that you take with you. Like it doesn't have to be a new release or anything like that. If you're attached to someone's music, that definitely helps in terms of your relationship with that kind of artist. And because Toma didn't have that, like, I was able to just enjoy his work from afar, even back when I took my break from the whole, like, J-drama, J-entertainment thing. So yeah, but he was my oshi for the longest time. And when they say the longest time, I was like 13, 14, couldn't remember. And then fast forward to 2018, and I was already in my 20s then. But yeah, like, Sho happened and kinpuri happened. But I still love Toma. I was thrilled when he finally announced that he was getting married then, because I think when he hit 30, I constantly kept my eye out for any type of, like, dating or marriage rumors. I don't know, I was just like, I'm pretty excited for him to get into that already. And yeah, when I found out, like, it finally happened, so I was really happy. I remember that kind of, like, phase where even, like, I wasn't into J-entertainment anymore. I was just like every time I come across certain, like, news and stuff like that, I was like, please make this happen already. So yeah, so there. What's my most unforgettable moment or part of being a J-entertainment fangirl? There's a lot. Like, I would say there are moments where it's really related to the artists and stuff like that. But I think the most unforgettable for me is this one. Like, being able to make content related to something that I really love, and like, have people respond to that. And I think it's because it's one thing to consume media on your own, and it's one thing to discuss it with like-minded individuals and just bounce off, like, ideas and just being excited about something. And I think that's the most unforgettable and memorable contribution of this to me. It's kind of, like, hard to explain, but it's not exactly related to being a fan, but more of, like, the experience that you gather from the environment and the community that you get to, like, join once you're into it. And I think the friendships as well. Like, I've never expected that I would gain friendships through this community, friendships that go beyond, and friendships that have developed from initially just starting out, liking the same stuff to extending outside of that. That's definitely one thing as well. And another thing is sharing this experience with friends that I already have. Like, I was in high school when I started all this, and I was able to share it with my closest friends back then. And I think from there, like, we all had moments where we stepped back from it, but then, like, we all have moments now jumping back into it, and that kind of like experience of you know, like, the relationships that you build because of this common interest that you have. I think that's the unforgettable moment there. Like, it's not really related to anything fangirly yet, like watching a concert or anything like that, but more of like the experiences that I'm gathering through the people who share the same standpoint as myself. And yeah. Now, out of all J artists, who are your top 3 or 5 and why? This is really hard because I am... Now listen, this is gonna sound really, really... I don't know if this is gonna sound snobbish or anything like that, but I have very particular preferences, like very, very particular preferences. I can't explain it as much, but people who probably see my tweets or who watch my videos, like, you probably know that I have these like certain things that I like to observe and point out, or just anything that I repeatedly keep on like talking about when it comes to artists that I'm into. And I'm very, 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 very particular about those things. And that's a reason why not a lot of artists capture my interest, and not a lot of, what do I say? Like, and I also don't put focus on too many people, because whenever I like something, I'm really all or nothing. It goes with like different aspects of my life as well, not just, you know, being a fan of something, but so that's why I can't handle, like, I always find it fascinating whenever fans of multiple groups just can juggle how being a fan is like. Really, it's not for me. I can't, like, I'm very laser focused, and I just can't focus on too many things at once when it comes to this. And so when I chose that kinpuri is gonna be for me, that's why they're like my main thing. I appreciate other artists, as I mentioned before. Like, I love Sugisaki Hana and Nakagawa Taishi. I love most of their acting projects. Yokohama Ryusei, Yoshizawa Ryo, Hamabe Minami. These are some of like the actors and actresses that I enjoy watching works of, Hashimoto Kana and stuff. But if I were to just talk like top, again, I'm a very extreme person, so I can only laser focus on like a certain thing, and at the moment it's just kinpuri for me. So yeah. I mean, it's pretty obvious here on my channel, but I just want to like put it out there as well. Another thing that was asked in relation to this is, why is Hirano Sho my oshi? And again, I think, like, as I mentioned earlier, I really loved his acting style. And when I heard him sing, not necessarily in like it was in Cinderella Girl, but it was actually in Shark. When I heard him sing a cappella, I really love his voice. Like, I loved his, like, that moment, there's just something, like, I think I've always been fascinated with like husky voices ever since I was young. Because I remember, like, looking back, almost every artist that I've liked in terms of their like the way their voice sounds, I've always liked husky voices because there's a lot of like texture, there's a lot of like just something about its quality is something that I really like. And then for Sho, his voice evolved continuously. Like even until now, I've been noticing that he's, apart from his usual like raw potential before, now there's better technique, better control, and I like those things a lot. I'm very meticulous about those kinds of things. Again, there's also his dancing, which I'm very, very fascinated by. I love dancing. I love watching dancers. I am not skilled in that side of things, but there's just always something about the precision and the technique and the way that he's moving that I really, really like. And I think most importantly, the reason why is also I like the way that he thinks, and I like his perspective on many, many things. And I think the reason that I ended up really liking him was watching that moment on Ride on Time when he talked about, you know, Shinanayo. It's because I'm someone who's very, very, I don't deal with grief well. Like there's just one thing to know about me is that I'm not particularly good with that topic matter. And so having someone talk about it very, very bluntly, and not just here, but someone who talks about life and time and just the importance of like these other things with such profoundness, but not in a way that's too pretentious or anything like that. Like whenever Sho talks about certain things, he's very straightforward in the way that he's explaining it. Like there's not a lot of fluff. And so from there, like for me, it sounds very sincere and easy to grasp. And I find that fascinating. And that's the reason why I get really defensive or protective whenever people just see the side of his personality where supposedly he's an airhead and stuff. And he's also talked about not being fond of being perceived like that. And quite honestly, like whenever he's being made fun of in programs or anything like that about his perception on like family, on realizing the importance of like family or time or anything like that, or whenever he talks about, you know, Shinanayo, which means don't die, like his phrase that he says during concerts and stuff. Whenever like people tend to dismiss the explanation for that and just go with, you know, he's quirky, he's funny and stuff. But for me, like every interview that I've read or watched, and he really has this way with words that resonate a lot with me, and it's something that's been a pattern with like personalities that I've liked before, that I got really into, is that they have this sense of like depth in them that just fascinate me. And even his choice of like favorite films and songs like is very telling of the things that he value a lot. Like for example, I was just rewatching Ima Ai ni Yukimasu again before I filmed this video, and it's a movie about, you know, making choices and falling in love with the same person over and over again, and choosing these, like your family, even if you already know the outcome of things. And it's a very nice and profound film. And for him to say that it's one of his favorite films, and another one of his favorite films, with like also has that same theme of so many things that you can, like for me personally, there's so many things that you can derive from a person's personality and values through the media that they like, or the music that they listen to, as well as the way that they talk about certain things. And I wish that a lot of people see more of that when it comes to Sho, because I feel like it's definitely a lot deeper than what people see him as, because of this like certain image surrounding him of like being, you know, attendant and stuff. But yeah, but that's definitely one thing. I don't want to like dive deeper into that as well, because there are also very personal, emotional reasons why, but I don't want to like dive deep into that anymore. And yeah, I think just bottom line is, aside from his talent, and there are like personal preferences that in terms of how he does things as a performer that I really like, and is within this certain like specific standard that I personally have. It's more of like the things that I learned about him through his words, or like the way that the members describe him, that resonate well with me, and that's ultimately the reason why. So yeah. Change a story from one of the J-dramas you've watched. Which one would it be, and what would you change? I actually kept thinking about this one, but as much as there are some dramas that I don't really enjoy as much, I feel like I kind of like understand the certain creative choices for these dramas, but so yeah, so I wouldn't have like a lot of complaints about like certain dramas that I've seen. But if there's definitely like one thing that I wish would have changed, and I think it's just the reason that I have strong attachment to this drama, it would be the whole plot twist when it came to Katanozaka's character in Miman Kesatsu. I feel like that entire thing just ruined it for me, like ruined the character for me, ruined the dynamic that was established earlier on about the character. It aired in 2020. It was also the peak of the pandemic at the time, peak of lockdown, and so I know that they had to like follow certain restrictions in terms of filming and stuff like that, but I wish they could have just gone for a more straightforward type of conflict, as compared to, you know, like them throwing these like red herrings that just cheapened how the series ended. Like, I feel like episode 1, no matter how shaky that one is, it was still okay, I guess. Episodes 2 and 3 definitely better structure, simply because those 2 episodes are based off of the original Korean movie that Miman Kesatsu was based from. Episode 4 and episode 5 are okay as well, because despite some lapses in terms of like timeline and, you know, other things that they missed probably in terms of like the smallest details, it was like they did well in establishing the characters of Jiro and Kai respectively in those episodes. But come episode 6 onwards, the story just kind of like, with the whole shovel killer thing, I feel like that's where they kind of like lost what they were trying to say. And I wish that again, they just focused more on making Taizu-san's character the bad guy, but he was trying to want his buddy to be the one to catch him, because it would have served a lot of like a much better parallelism for the characters of Jiro and Kai and these 2 other characters if that had happened. Like, probably the reason why Katanozaka's character didn't want to, he just wanted to become a member of the academe, is to form like a policemen who are a lot more straightforward, and it just didn't make sense that he values that so much, and then he ends up being the crook in the first place. So yeah, I did an entire review of that particular drama, and I couldn't exactly remember like my full feelings of that, because that was 2 years ago. But looking back now, I wish like that is a drama that I feel like I really wanted to, you know, to just like, if they could have just went with it, like not with all the explosive plot twists and stuff like that, they could just focused on making Taizu-san's character like the bad guy. Like he became a detective, but he ended up being corrupt and stuff like that, whereas his buddy, you know, he kind of like laid low because he didn't want his buddy, his other buddy, to suffer, but he kind of like knows that he's up to something, and at the end of it, like, it's just both of them challenging each other to finally, you know, like, to make things right in a way, and that would have served like a better lesson for Jiro and Kai in the end, I guess. So yeah, I think that one for sure. Another question is, what are some J-drama openings and endings that stuck with you, and what kind of subject or theme do you dislike the most? J-drama openings and endings, I would assume this would mean soundtrack wise. I have to say that I kind of miss, I'm not sure if I miss it or what, but earlier, like early 2000s J-dramas, you know how like the entire song is like plays at the beginning of the episode. I love, as I mentioned earlier, I love cartoons, so most of the dramas, like for example, One Pound Gospel with Lips, I really like. I think an absolute favorite would be how tacky that intro for Yamato Nadeshiko live action is with Love Yourself. And also Love Yourself by Katon is also one of my favorite songs ever, because I just love the whole concept of Kimi ga Kirai na Kimi ga Suki. Yeah, like that entire, like the premise of the song itself, I really like. And yeah, what else? Of course, there's Hanadan. And I think total bias, again, as I talked about earlier, Miman Kesatsu with a double opening ending theme for Mazy Night, and Run with Kinpuri and Sexy Zone. Definitely one of the most memorable ones, simply because I just love them both. But yeah, well, when it comes to the subject or theme that I dislike the most, I'm not this, I don't really have like ultimate favorites or ultimate like things that I would completely avoid, simply because I love experiencing things as I experience them. You know, I want to, like, again, one of the things I really like is having informed opinions on things, and that's why I just wouldn't judge anything without seeing an entire like thing first. So sometimes if there's this particular actor or artist that I don't really like, I still end up watching their thing, just so, you know, I could like, okay, so probably it's just not for everyone, probably not just for me, to be able to say that. Like, of course there are some artists that I just don't like on a surface level, but when it comes to them being in a certain project or anything like that, I never really discount anything else, because yeah, like there might be something there that people find entertaining and that I might find entertaining as well, and I like giving things chances as much as I can. So no particular genre, no particular anything that I avoid. Like, I've seen weird dramas and movies before with like very annoying themes, but I still end up like finishing them, because I like seeing things through. And yeah, like, I guess nothing in particular that I don't like. Really, like, nothing. Probably just ones that are super scandalous. Things that are completely off base with things that I personally just value. Yeah, like those kinds of like movies. Like things that are too much. You know, there's just some things that are too much. But I never really dip my toes into something that's like way out of things that I'm willing to watch and try. So yeah. So with that said, thank you so much to everyone who sent in their questions. I really appreciate it. I wish to do more of these if ever I given the opportunity in the future and people are more curious about, you know, other things. This was so fun, and I feel like I held back on answering some things because this video will take forever if I just keep going on and on and on. And I feel like I should have, like, I don't know, maybe I should have like edited a lot shorter, trimmed my answers a little bit shorter, but that's just how it is. So yeah, tell me down in the comments below, like, what are the things or big projects or stuff that you would want me to talk about here on this channel. I would really appreciate them. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to my channel and you would want to hear more from me, please hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this video, and looking forward to chatting with you again soon. Bye.